In 1977, a researcher woke people up in the middle of the night. Over and over. Every 90 minutes. Each time. He asked the same question. What were you just dreaming? Every single person had an answer. Vivid, detailed. Full of color and plot. Then he waited 5 minutes and asked again. Almost all of it was gone. Not faded. Erased. He spent the next decade trying to figure out why. You already know this feeling. You wake up and for a moment, the dream is still there. You can see it. You can feel it. You were somewhere that doesn't exist. Talking to someone who might not even be alive. And all of it made complete sense. You felt things in that dream. Real things. Fear. Love. Falling. The relief of finding something you thought you'd lost. And then you sit up. You reach for your phone. You check the time. And by the time your feet touch the floor, half of it is already gone. By the time you've brushed your teeth, you can barely describe what happened. By lunch, you've forgotten you dreamed at all. This happens to you every single night, and it has been happening for your entire life. You dream every night? Not sometimes. Not on special occasions. Every night? Multiple times? Your brain enters REM sleep roughly every 90 minutes. And during each REM cycle, it builds a world. Not a sketch. A world. Full environments. Characters with faces. Storylines with beginnings and middles and emotional climaxes. Your brain writes, directs, casts, and stages an entire production while you lie there with your eyes closed. And then it throws it all away. The average person will spend about 6 years of their life dreaming. 6 years. Over 100,000 individual dreams between birth and death. And you will remember almost none of them. Not 10%. Not 5. Scientists estimate you forget somewhere around 95 to 99% of every dream you've ever had. That's not a glitch. That's a policy. Your brain is not accidentally losing your dreams the way you lose your keys. It is systematically preventing them from reaching long-term memory. And the mechanism it uses to do this is surprisingly specific. It starts with a chemical. When you're awake, your brain produces a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. Think of it as the brain's ink. It is one of the key chemicals involved in writing new memories into long-term storage. Without it, experiences don't stick. They arrive. They register. And then they dissolve. Like writing on water. During REM sleep, norepinephrine production drops to nearly zero. Your brain is dreaming in full color. Full emotion. Full narrative complexity. But the ink is gone. The recording system is switched off. The experience is happening. But nothing is being written down. You are living through something vivid and real. And your brain has deliberately removed the one chemical it needs to remember it. This is not an accident. This is architecture. In 2019, a team of researchers in Japan found the specific cells responsible. They're called MCH neurons. Melanin concentrating hormone neurons. These cells are located in the hypothalamus. And they activate specifically during REM sleep. Their job is not to create dreams. Their job is to make sure you forget them. When the researchers activated these neurons in mice during learning, the mice forgot what they had just learned. When they silenced the neurons, the mice remembered more. The forgetting wasn't a side effect of sleep. It was an active function. Performed by dedicated hardware. On a schedule. Your brain built a forgetting machine. And it runs it every night? But that raises an obvious question. Why? Why would your brain spend energy building elaborate worlds and then immediately destroy them? Why dream at all if the whole point is to forget? The answer, or at least the best current version of the answer, has to do with something called memory consolidation. While you sleep, your brain is sorting through everything that happened to you that day. Every face you saw, every conversation you had, every piece of information you encountered. It is deciding what to keep and what to discard. Important memories get moved from short-term storage in the hippocampus to long-term storage in the cortex. Unimportant ones get deleted. Dreams may be the experience of watching this process happen. Think of it like an office at night. The workers have gone home. The cleaning crew comes in. They go through every desk, every drawer, every filing cabinet. They move important files to the vault. They shred the rest. The lights flicker. Papers fly. If you walk through the office during that process, it would look chaotic, surreal. Things in the wrong places. Faces from last week mixed with furniture from your childhood. That's a dream. You're watching the cleanup crew work. Some researchers think dreams are not meant to be meaningful at all. They are cognitive noise. The brain doing maintenance and you accidentally being conscious enough to notice. The reason your dreams are bizarre. The reason your dead grandmother is suddenly driving a bus through your old school is because the brain is pulling files from different cabinets at the same time and your consciousness is trying to make a story out of random cross-references. The reason you forget them is because they were never meant to be remembered. They were byproducts. Exhaust. The smoke coming off the engine. Not the engine itself. But not everyone agrees. A growing number of neuroscientists think dreams serve a purpose beyond maintenance. They think dreaming is a simulation engine. When you dream about being chased, your brain is rehearsing threat response. When you dream about social conflict, your brain is practicing negotiation. When you dream about falling, your brain is stress testing your fear circuitry in a safe environment where nothing can actually hurt you. A Finnish researcher named Antti Rivanchuo proposed this in 2000. He called it the threat simulation theory. He studied thousands of dream reports and found that threatening or stressful scenarios appear far more often in dreams than they do in waking life. Dreams are not random. They are disproportionately dangerous. Your brain is running worst-case scenarios while you sleep, training you for things that haven't happened yet. Under this theory, forgetting the dream is actually part of the function. If you remembered every simulated threat, every rehearsed disaster, every practiced failure, you would wake up every morning carrying the emotional weight of events that never occurred. The simulation has to be erased after it runs. Otherwise the training becomes the trauma. Your brain lets you practice drowning without making you afraid of water. But here is where it gets complicated. Some dreams do get through. You do remember some of them. Usually the ones that happen right before you wake up. During the final REM cycle. And usually only if something interrupts the process. An alarm. A sudden noise. A physical sensation that pulls you out of sleep before the forgetting system finishes its work. That moment between sleep and waking. When the dream is still there. Vivid and whole. Is a window. A tiny one. The norepinephrine is starting to flow again. The ink is coming back. If you focus on the dream in that exact window. If you think about it deliberately. You can sometimes pull a fragment through. Write it down fast enough and it sticks. But if you move. If you check your phone. If you let your attention shift even for a few seconds. The window closes. The MCH neurons are still running. The forgetting system is still active. And the dream evaporates like breath on glass. This is why dream journals work. Not because they improve your memory. Because they catch the dream in the 3-second window before the deletion is complete. The act of writing forces the content through the checkpoint before the gate closes. And here is the part that stays with you. Every night. Your brain creates something extraordinary. A full sensory experience with characters, locations, emotions, and narratives that you are utterly convinced are real while you are inside them. For a few minutes each night. You live in a world that is entirely yours. No one else will ever see it. No one else will ever know it existed. It is the most private thing your mind does. And then it is gone. Not because it wasn't real enough to keep, but because keeping it might cost more than losing it. The system was designed to let go. The forgetting is the feature, not the bug. You have lived through 100,000 dreams. You remember maybe a handful. The rest, the vast majority of the worlds your brain has ever built, were demolished before sunrise. Whole cities, whole stories, whole people you loved for 5 minutes who will never exist again. Every morning, you wake up as the sole survivor of a world that has already been destroyed. And you don't mourn it. Because you don't remember there was anything to mourn. But something in you knows. That feeling when you first open your eyes? That strange weight. That sense that you were just somewhere else. Somewhere important. Somewhere that mattered. And now it's gone and you can't explain why you feel the loss of something you can't name. That is your brain finishing the demolition. That is the smoke clearing from a building that was standing 3 seconds ago. You will dream again tonight. Something vivid. Something full. Something that feels, while you're inside it, like the most real thing that has ever happened to you. And by the time you pour your coffee tomorrow morning, it will be as if it never existed. Not because your memory is weak. Because your brain decided that some things are only meant to be lived once.